Hello everyone, this is Smita teacher. I welcome you all. Okay, so what are you going to study from this video? In this video, we are going to start with the new chapter, class 7 in civics, chapter 1 on equality. Students, we are going to have two parts of the PPT. In the first part of the video, we will see the introduction, meaning of equality, and the types of inequalities prevailing in India. Students, let me tell you, this is a very interesting chapter. You know why? Because through a story, you will be explained what is equality, how important equality is, how much equality do we get. All these things we are going to learn in this chapter. I am going to start the explanation with the story of Kanta, which is given in the textbook. Okay, so you can see this slide 2. But before starting the story, I would like to ask you a question. What is equality? If I ask you this question, what do you perceive? If you all remember, we had learned in 6th standard about the key elements of democracy. Remember that? So, in that we had learned that equality is one of the pillars of Indian democracy. Okay, so now in this slide, I would like to ask you a question. What is equality? In common language, if we say, then equality means getting equal rights. But only getting equal rights is not equality. For example, what is given in the constitution? In constitution, there are provisions of equality before law. That means everybody will be treated equally by law. Fine? Okay. But in real life, we come across many incidences or stories which we see that rich people are not punished even if even if they commit crime, or on the basis of money the things are changed. So can we say that this is equality? No, it is not. Or, in another sense, if we talk about facilities, then the education provided by government schools, you all know, you have seen the government schools, right? So, the facilities provided by the government school and private school, are there any equalities? No, there is no equality. So, we can say that you cannot see equality from the viewpoint of only equal rights. So, children, you cannot see the term equality from one dimension. Because equality is a very broad dimension which includes many things. So, from this sense, we have to understand equality from various dimensions. Okay. So, now we will understand a story, the story of Kanta. And through this story, you will understand that equality is a dynamic concept. Now, dynamic concept means you are to see equality, from different dimensions. We should not see it with just one dimension. Okay, so we will try to understand what equality is. In the first scene in the story given in your textbook, the people are standing in a long line, say a queue. But students, this is not the queue or the line of the school assembly in which you stand every day, right? But this is a line of people standing for casting their vote. They're going to cast their vote. You can see this in your notebook. The picture shows that different people are standing in a line. For example, Manjit Kaur, the teacher, Teja Singh, the trader, Girish Rao, the student, standing in a line to cast their votes. Even Sujata and Kanta, the domestic workers, that is the Kamwali Bais, right, that we have at our homes, are also standing in the line. Again, Abdul Rahman, the artisan, Shabnam Bano, the housewife, Gracie, the consultant, Isaac Lelenge, the government officer, even the media person and the unemployed people are standing in a line. And we can also see Ashok Jain, the industrialist, who is standing last in the line. All are standing in line. Here, everybody will cast their vote as per their turns. Ashok Jain, even if he is an industrialist, a rich person, he has to cast his vote when his turn comes. This story explains us the concept of equality in real sense. Now, moving further in our story, Kanta is a housemaid working at Mr. Jain's house. Okay, now in the next scene, we can see that Kanta's daughter is sick and she is standing in a line at the government clinic for her checkup. While standing in the line, Kanta thinks that as Mr. Jain, her master, may have to stand in a line to vote, but as he is rich, he would not have to definitely stand in a line of public clinics, as he is rich and get better facilities at private clinics without standing in a long line. So Kanta here now starts comparing in her mind that is she getting equality now as she was getting it while casting her vote in the morning? No. We can say that she is getting democratic equality. But when we talk about facilities, there is no equality in it. So, what do you think? Kanta has enough reasons to say that she is not getting equality? Yes, absolutely true. Because in political sense, in democracy, she has got all equal rights to vote. But in another spheres also, is she getting equal rights? No. Because as Mr. Jain has enough money, he can get best of treatments, whereas Kanta has to face many difficulties. So now, students, coming to the question asked in the starting, what is equality? Can we get equality just getting writing votes? No, no, we are not getting it. Now, moving further in this chapter, we are focusing on the ideas laid down under Constitution. Under the Constitution, we can say that each and every citizen of India has equal rights. Now, there's a difference between the theory and the practical on which this chapter tries to focus on. Children, you might be well aware that our Indian Constitution was written by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So, in this slide, you can read that B.R. Ambedkar said that self respect is the most vital factor in life. Without it, man is a cipher. Nothing is more disgraceful for a brave man than to live life devoid of self respect. So, the whole session will be focusing on the idea of self respect. Now, Constitution, as I said, guarantees equality to every citizen. But in reality, if we see, there are discriminations based on various reasons. It can be caste, it can be religion, it can be class, or any other reason. Based on based on this, there are differences in the societies that do exist. For example, there are few those which are quoted in your textbook. So one of the examples is that of Mr. and Mrs. Ansari who go from one place to another looking for a rented house. But they find it very difficult because most of the landlords say that we do not offer house to a person who consumes non-vegetarian. But the true reason was their religion. They were Muslim by religion. So these are kind of the things that affect or bring discrimination in the society. So one of them then suggested that they should change their names from Mr. and Mrs. Ansari to Mr. and Mrs. Kumar so that they can easily get the apartment or say the house on rent. And the final refused, saying that this is a question of self respect. And then similarly, you have other stories about the students being asked to sit aside in the classroom or sit near the door, sweep the school, and so on and so forth. So these are kinds of certain discriminations that exist in the society, and what needs to be worked around is much more on the reality and on the ground. So we can understand that equality and democracy are dynamic concepts. Students, here you can see that if you want to have democracy and enjoy its fruits, then it can be done through voting actions and voluntary opinions so that we can strengthen the roots of freedom, human rights, justice, and equality. Now, students, in this slides, you can see the key elements of democracy. Now, there are three main pillars of democratic government. It involves people's participation, the conflict resolution, and equality. Right? All these things we had already seen in class 6th. And now we will be focusing today on equality, which is one of the key factors of democratic government. Now, under democratic government children, we also say we have the universal adult franchise. That is, you all know what is universal adult franchise, right? We had done this in class 6th. But I'll tell you again. Universal adult franchise is the right to vote for each and every individual who are above 18 years. And this right to vote is based on equality, irrespective of caste, religion, gender, etc. That means a person who belongs to either any of the caste, any of the religion, any of the gender, whether he is rich or poor, he is literate or illiterate, whether he is born in Ahmedabad or Mumbai, whether he is coming from a rural area or an urban area, everybody has a right to vote. So this system is called universal adult franchise. But when we say we have the right to vote and that is based on equality, why not there are other factors where we say each and every person has an equal chance? So right to vote is there, but what about right to equal living? Do we have equal living conditions? No. There is no kind of equality in terms of living standards. You can see huge parities that need to be worked around. We can see that many people, they are living in hi-fi bungalows. On the same side, the other people are living in very poor conditions. Okay, moving further, equal working conditions. So, a worker who is working as a domestic helper or a sweeper is not given equal working conditions as a person was working on a kind of sophisticated technology or kind of professional technology. Simplest example is you can very easily trace out the difference between the working conditions which are given to the housemaid or the person sweeping the road, the sweepers. Their working conditions are completely different as compared to the working conditions of a person working in a office or say a multinational company, right? Similar happens with caste identity. Now this caste identity not only exists in the minds of uneducated people but also in the educated and urban minds. So this is something that needs to be worked around. Then you have the situation of Dalits. Okay, first let me tell you who are Dalits. The literal meaning of Dalit is broken. That is those people who are mentally broken and tortured by the people of other caste. That is the people who belong to lower caste. Now as we said, they are asked to sit aside or they are asked to sweep the rooms. So all this is a kind of feeling that brings in disrespects or affects the self-respect of an individual. So all this needs to be worked around. So the other kind of inequalities are rich and poor based on their economic status. Talking about Kanta, she was poor and her master Jain Sahib was a rich person. Then the another inequality is upper caste and lower caste. Those belonging to upper caste get more privileges than the lower caste people. And the another one is the inequality on the basis of religion that we have already seen in the case of Mr. and Mrs. Ansari. Thus, people are highly divided despite being treated equally under the constitution. Now let me tell you that the story of Kanta tells us about the inequality of rich and poor, as we have seen. Again, let me tell you that another story of Mr. and Mrs. Ansari tells us about inequality based on religion. Let me tell you that in India, caste system is the biggest challenge to the equality. If you see, I can give you one practical example. For example, when we choose the life partners for our children, we always select it from our caste. That is, if we are a Brahmin, we will definitely choose the life partner from the Brahmin caste. So, this still exists in our country, India. Okay, now one such example of caste-based inequality is highlighted by Om Prakash Valmiki also. So, we will see this story. Om Prakash Valmiki was a Dalit writer. In his autobiography Jutan, he expresses his experience of inequality suffered by him. He was made to sit on the floor separately from other children. Sometimes he had to sit away behind everybody near the door. Sometimes they would beat him without any reason. Further, he says that when he was in class 4th, his headmaster asked Om Prakash to sweep the school and playground. Can you imagine if you all children, right? You all people are also going to the school. If your class teacher discriminates between you and the other children, only because you are belonging to the lower caste, the teacher is not allowing you to sit and intermingle with the other students. She's continuously telling to sit you, not she's not allowing you to sit on the bench. You have to continuously sit near the blackboard, right? And or near the door. And sometimes if she becomes angry or if she wants to punish, she will punish the lower caste people by telling them to sweep the whole school. How ridiculous, right? Fine. So, Om Prakash Valmiki was also belonging to a lower caste, so he was also treated in the same way. All these he suffered just because he was a Dalit boy. So, this story helps us to understand the discrimination and exclusion which Om Prakash faced on the basis of caste. So, students, these are the stories that break in the reality on the ground state of the equality when we talk about. So, the key idea is one must recognize the dignity of an individual. So, unequal treatment violates that dignity. Self respect should not be challenged. Sorry, but I forgot to tell you what is dignity. Now, when we talk about dignity, dignity is giving respect to someone. For example, if you are respecting your teachers and not insulting them, that means you are maintaining their dignity. Okay, so moving further, the key idea is one must recognize the dignity of an individual. So, unequal treatment violates the dignity. We have seen that the headmaster is continuously violating the dignity of Om Prakash by telling him to sit aside, by telling him to sweep the floor, and so forth and so forth. Self-respect should not be challenged. So, these are the ideas that we must work around. So, this chapter per se is less about story and more about what happens in the practical life. And as a student, you should not grow up with these things in mind. Students, you can see in this slide, we have a scene from one of the most famous Bollywood movie, Diwar, which will illustrate us the exact meaning of recognizing dignity. The story goes like this. A small poor boy is a shoe polisher who earns money by polishing shoes. One day, a rich person comes to him to get his shoes polished. And after the work is done, he throws money to be paid to the boy. Sorry. So the boy speaks a very favorite and the very famous dialogue. Sahab, मैं शू पॉलिश करके पैसा कमाता हूँ. मैं भीख नहीं मांग रहा हूँ. पैसे उठाओ और मुझे दो. मैं फेंके हुए पैसे नहीं लेता. So this incident teaches us the value of recognizing dignity of a person even if he is very poor. Sorry. So equality is provided in a democracy. So when we say equality as per the democracy or as per the constitution, I would say that every individual, including male and female, so either gender from all caste, religion, tribe, education or economic status are given equal rights or equality. Sorry, students. So that is equality, what is laid down in the constitution, and if you really want to abide by the constitution, we must recognize the equality in the democratic setup. So there are, according to Article 15, there are 4 key things that must be worked around in the society. First is, every person is equal before law. Untouchability in any form should be abolished. There should be no discrimination based on religion, race, caste, place of birth or gender. And every person must have access to all public places, be it roads, be it water supply or wells or any other things. So discriminating that these roads are meant for few privileged will not work. So there should be kind of equality for all these amenities and all these services that are present in the society. Students, again you can see in this slide, again you can see one more Bollywood movie, Article 15, which focuses on the important aspects of equality. Okay, students, so in part 2 of this PPT, we will focus on the implementation of the equality. Thank you.